In this video, I'm going to be talking about things I wish I knew about investing when I first started 8 years ago. I've learned things the hard way, and in this video, I'm going to cover things that I want to pass on to you so you have success in your investing journey right from the start. So if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment in the video if you found this helpful. Before going ahead, I think I should tell you about my journey so far. So I first started in 2017 and I started with Forex because at that time, that's what was trending. Just like how today cryptocurrency is trending, at that time, Forex was the big thing. I lost a lot of money in this, and then I was introduced to cryptocurrency. And when I was introduced to cryptocurrency, I was blindly investing in whatever the shiniest altcoins were at the time. And again, I lost money. Then a few years later, I started investing in stocks and I lost a lot of money again. And this is because a lot of the stocks that I invested in at the time were risky stocks, stocks where I didn't know how to do research or know which stocks are good or which stocks are bad. I was simply buying based on what social media was trending at the time. And it's only now, in the recent years, this cycle, where I've improved my strategy, I've learned how to do fundamental analysis, I've learned how to do technical analysis, and now I'm confident to pick my own stocks and make my own choices in terms of investing. Even when it comes to cryptocurrency, I've learned how to do things when it comes to crypto, and I've learned my lessons. And this is the reason I'm making this video, so I can pass this knowledge on to yourselves. So that's it with my journey, and now I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I've learned so far in my journey. The first most important thing I've learned when it comes to investing is you always need an emergency fund. Life can be unpredictable and you don't know what's on the horizon. There can be situations where your car tires can be punctured one day, and unfortunately that's just something unexpected and it's cost which you might not have anticipated. So it's very important to have some money set aside. Here on this sheet I've just put an example of costs that the average person in the UK might have and what an emergency fund might be. So for example, you've got the monthly expense here and then you've got the cost over here. These are examples of some of the expenses we have here in the UK. So most people, they either rent or have a mortgage. You've got things like council tax, you've got energy, food and groceries, water, phone, broadband, fuel, car maintenance, and car insurance. And this is how much it costs roughly. These are not exact figures and it can be more for some people, it can be less for some people. The other thing to mention is it does not include subscriptions that people might have. So for example, if you go gym, there's a cost of gym membership. If you subscribe to Netflix, then there's the cost of that. And there's other costs which I've not included. So what I normally recommend is write down all of your expenses, work out what it costs monthly, and you'll get a total. So in this example here, the total over here is just over £2,000. If I was making an emergency fund of only 3 months, then it would cost £6,500. And if I wanted to make a 6-month emergency fund, then I would need just under £13,000. So anything in between these two numbers is what I recommend you should have in your emergency fund, just for a rainy day, or maybe one day you might lose your house or you might get evicted if you live on rent. There's lots of different scenarios that might occur, which is hard to predict. With this money, I would put it in a bank account that gives you a good yield as well. The second most important thing is to pay off any debt that you have, especially anything that's high in interest. And the reason I say this is because on average, the S&P 500 over the last 20 years has yielded 12% annually, whereas the average credit card interest rate in the UK is about 24%. So if you were to completely neglect your credit card debt and just pay whatever the minimum amount is for your credit card debt, and then you invest in the S&P 500, overall, you're still losing money, even if your stocks account is probably up. In my opinion, it's not wise to be investing if you still have a lot of high interest debt. So once you have your emergency fund, it's then important with any money on top of that to pay off your debt as soon as possible. Financial freedom starts with reducing liabilities. I got a credit card calculator up online just to show you why it's important to pay off debt as soon as possible. Let's just say, for example, you take a loan of £10,000. This might not be through a credit card, this might be through whatever. There's a lot of schemes at the moment where it's buy now, pay later. So for example, if you go to furniture shops, there's a lot of buying furniture, pay later type schemes. So whatever it is, here as an example, let's just say you borrow £10,000 and your interest rate is 24%. If you were to pay only £100 a month, it comes up with an error because even after 20 years, you've still not paid that back. Now, if I was to change this to £250, then you can see over here, by paying £250 a month, it will take until 2030, which is another 6 years from now, you would have paid almost £8,000 in interest. So this £10,000 that you've borrowed, you're going to pay back almost £18,000, which it makes no sense. Even if you pay back £500, you're still paying almost 25% extra than you've borrowed. And even then, it takes until 2027. And if you miss some of these payments as well, then it will continue compounding. So it makes no sense having debt with high interest rate and investing. So please, if you have any high interest debt, please get rid of it. Pay it off as soon as possible. The sooner you pay it off, the easier it will be for yourselves. So you've saved up an emergency fund and you've paid off your high interest debt. The next thing you should do is look at what skills you've got and starting a side hustle based on that. So for example, if you really enjoy baking, then you might want to start a small baking business where you bake some cookies or some cupcakes and try and sell it locally through social media, Instagram, see where that leads you. Other examples could be tutoring other students. If you've got a degree, then tutoring some of the college or the secondary school students. These are all skills that you can try and use to an advantage to try and earn some extra money from it. So now you've done most of the basics, the essentials when it comes to getting started. Now this is the point where you start to look where you actually can invest. And the first place that I would look at is seeing what tax-free options your country has. So here in the UK, we've got something called a stocks and shares ISA account that we can open. This is where we can invest £20,000 every year, and anything we make on that is tax-free. So it's a really good benefit for us people here in the UK. And other countries have something similar as well. So for example, in the US, you've got the IRA and so forth. So you need to look at what your country offers and see if there's any tax-free way of investing in stocks. With a stocks and shares ISA, because it's tax-free, we can invest in companies such as Apple, Nvidia, all the companies you see over here, tax-free. And if individual stocks is not something that you want to dabble in, then you've also got these top ETFs that we can also invest in, and anything we make on that would be tax-free as well. So having a tax-free stocks and shares account, it opens a lot of doors for you. Just using these top 5 ETFs as an example, I know 3 of them are very similar in terms of all 3 of them track the price of the S&P 500. They're just made by different companies. But if I just input those into Google, you could see all of them year to date is up over 20%. And over the last 5 years, you could see some of the gains these ETFs have had. So these are some of the things that are possible if you can invest, and being able to do this in a tax-free manner as well is a win-win. If you've done all of the steps before and you've maxed your ISA account, so you've invested the full £20,000 a year, if you've still got money left over after that, then this is when I would look and turn to things like cryptocurrency. And even when it comes to cryptocurrency, I would stick to the more safer investments, so things like Bitcoin, or if I am dabbling in any altcoins, then I would stick with the higher market cap altcoins. Looking at crypto, these are some of the cryptos that you can invest in. So you've got Bitcoin, which is essentially your king of crypto, the biggest market cap cryptocurrency out there. And then you've got things like Ethereum, XRP, BNB, Solana, and so on. The list goes on. There are thousands of cryptos out there. The good thing about crypto is you have the potential to make life-changing gains. So for example, over the last 2 years, Bitcoin went from about $17,000 to now it's $91,000. So some of the gains that are possible is crazy. However, remember, with cryptocurrency, because it's not part of the ISA or the tax-free investing, these can be heavily taxed depending on where you are. So for example, here in the UK, depending on how much you earn in your job, you will either be taxed 18% or 24% on the profits that you make on cryptocurrency, which is a very large chunk of money that you would be taxed on. So this is why I stress the importance of investing in your tax-free investments, your things like your stocks and shares ISA, before moving on to things like cryptocurrency. Once you've done all of the steps before this, if you've got to this stage, that means you're doing really well financially, which is really good. So well done so far. At this stage, you might be thinking about diversifying your investments and maybe not overexposing yourself to stocks and crypto, and maybe parking your money somewhere more safe. So for example, into a property, maybe thinking about a joint venture, maybe even buying a running business just so that you have the cash flow as well. So these are all options that are available for you when you're thinking about diversifying your investments. This would be the final step that I recommend. And of course, with this, it's endless in terms of the different things that you can do. In summary, we've talked about building an emergency fund. So this is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. We've spoken about paying off any high interest debt that you might have. We've talked about starting a side hustle, investing in stocks and shares, ISA, or whatever tax-free investing your country might offer. We've also spoken about crypto, and we've also spoken about diversifying into things like property. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer in terms of what order you do things in or what you do. I know some people that invest solely in crypto, and even for myself, one of the first investments that I got into was Forex and crypto. For some people, it does work out for them. Like some people, they've made life-changing gains. And that's why you gotta see what your personal goal is and try and work towards your own goal and see what happens there. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to be posting more videos about personal finance, analyzing stocks, finding gems, and things like that. Thank you for watching.